Don Reyes. I live at 17 Alice Lane, and I got a for sale sign in my house. I went to a meeting, the last club meeting, or whatever you call it, board meeting. And I sat there quietly and heard that Gary, our vice president, had quit. And I was intrigued by that. He's been a staunch supporter of the current regime. So, what I did, I listened carefully, and I found out that he had quit because he was mentioned in a newsletter. Now, we get a newsletter, I don't know how many of you read it, but there's some really interesting stuff in that thing. All put there by the same person, our alleged secretary. She claims that she's the only one that ever puts anything in it, and then so be it. She was upset. She said that it was all on her that our vice president quit. And I said, boy, that's something I haven't heard from her in a long time. She didn't like what she had done, and that's why I was at the meeting. I also was mentioned in the mentioned newsletter. It seems that Gary, our vice president, was upset because they put his name in a newsletter. We found that out because Lori on the board is the proofreader of the newsletter. She had written that Gary was very upset because there were rumors that he was going to rent our garage and not pay anything for renting our garage. And then they mentioned that we had put electric to the garage. I had no idea how much it cost to do that, and I'm sure none of you do either, but we paid for it. They hooked the electric to a Maple Ridge meter, okay? So Gary was gonna rent the garage, not for storage, but he has a lawnmower business, and he was gonna use it for who knows what with our electric. And the rumor was he wasn't gonna pay. That's not true. He got really upset because he was gonna pay. Well, it's been going on for 2 years. Recently, I had meetings with the zoning enforcement officer and found out it is illegal in the town of Clarkson to rent out your garage. So, the Gary incident, we decided that we would no longer pursue renting out our garage, and the reason they gave us was the liability. No.
No, I think we have to extend it. I couldn't do it in 5 either.
Give me 2 more. So, here's what happened. I went to the town zoning enforcement officer, and I found a very lot of things that pertain to our park. We are a bona fide subdivision in the state of New York. Our rules are to follow town law, which says you cannot rent your garage out in the town of Clarkson. So for 2 years, they abused our privilege. They took our money, didn't even tell us how much they spent, but it's thousands. First of all, they hired Chris Marks, the electrician. This guy doesn't come cheap, okay? I've used him.
Yeah.
I don't know what he charged, but I do know this. I found him in a hole by the pole where he was hooking the wire to a Maple Ridge meter. I'm like, Chris, what are you doing? He says, well, we wired the garage, but I'm really upset. Now, what he said was that it seems as though they ordered the wire a year ago. Now, the wire has doubled in 1 year. And again, I have no numbers. I don't know what they paid for the wire out of our money without telling us, and that's the point. They do not tell us. They should, by law, inform us of the amount they're going to spend and what they're going to spend it on. They don't bother doing that. They tell us they're going to keep us informed. Well, how nice of you. Okay? Tell me how much you spent. I'm going to tell you what you owe us. Now, the point is, they hooked it to a Maple Ridge meter, and they were going to do it for our vice president, who has a lawnmower business. He obviously wasn't going to just store stuff in there. He was going to work nights and fix his lawnmowers, but again, that's all supposition. We don't know. So, after I found out that it was...
Your 2 minutes is up.
Jesus.
2 minutes, it's 5.
After...
No, he's already went through that 5. What? He asked for 2
Oh my
minutes.
God,
Go
just
ahead.
let him
Go
talk.
ahead.
Just let him
Go.
talk.
Hear more?
God.
I think we need to make it 10.
I think you need to just stop.
I'm sure a lot of us
Here's
won't
what
see
happened.
that.
No.
Upon finding out that
5
Gary was
minutes,
going
now
to
it's
quit,
10 minutes?
they decided that they would now say they're not going to continue with the garage program. Now, they said it was because of liability. Nothing was said about it being illegal. The second thing I want to talk about is the way they bring in houses. Now, I know that pertains to some of you and me because I have an empty lot next to me. They said in the minutes of the little SCAD sheet that they sent us that we can put any size house we want on that lot. The only problem is the people won't have any lawn. That really touched me off. They just put a house in down the street that you can spit and hit the house next door. There are town laws that say our side setback is 13 feet by law. You measure 13 feet from your house to your line, and then 13 feet from your line to the house, the other house. 26 feet minimum. Now, we're a subdivision. There's a couple things wrong with our subdivision. First of all, we're in the 100-year floodplain, the entire subdivision. There is no subdivision map available to the town zoning enforcement officer. He does not have one. What he got for this house in question was a pencil drawing of a single wide house to go on that lot. He got blamed for the fact that they put a double wide and screwed up the whole neighborhood. They made it like, yeah. Well, anyway, I went to him and he said that, of course, I went to him saying they blamed him. Okay, who's they? Our illustrious board blamed the code enforcement officer for allowing it to happen. He has no way of reasoning with any of this. There is no map of our park. Not showing your house, my house, nobody's house. He gets a pencil drawing from AGL. The next step was to blame AGL. And my eviction notice, it clearly says that I have been evicted for defacing property. I went to the zoning enforcement officers, I said this, they proposed a single wide down the street. A double wide showed up, and they said, Ray said, put it in. Well, guess what, Ray? No, I mean, you substituted the house that was supposed to go in there. A single wide was proposed, he thought it was, and then he found out they put in a double wide. Now, I love my neighbors. I tell you, I've never been happier. For 4 years, I've been here 6. For 4 years. Yeah, even you. No, I'm serious. I don't know any of you that know me, really know me. I'm a pretty good guy. 3 women cried because they saw the sign in my front yard. These are tears. My wife is really upset because she thinks maybe I did something with the girls. No, I'm telling you. One of them said, I'm the best thing that ever happened to Maple Ridge. I'm feeling good. You know, I mean, really, that's the best thing that happened to Maple Ridge. Boy, you must have had some terrible things happen to you to make me the best.
Well, then go get
It's
one.
just
Why are you leaving
not
your
right.
job?
What they've done over
That's
and
your
over,
money.
and particularly just this regime. We have a lady that's been here since she was 9 years old, okay? She's on the board, and she said this, I have never in my entire 50 years or more of living here seen it so bad. In other words, something's gotta be done. These people wholly disregard town law. They just go about their business and make the decisions. Mostly, my problem with it all, you got a letter about what the share price of the place is, what you're going to be paying for the next unknown amount of years. You're gonna be paying $1,000 a year on the mortgage that is thoroughly paid for. Now, you say, what do you mean? I said, we got a letter that said we're gonna continue with the rent at the present amount. I brought 5 people into this park, and I feel responsible for every one of them, because I told them it was a great place to live. That if anything's gonna happen, our rent's not going up. It should go down $87 a month. Now, they are currently taking $80,000 a year of our money and putting in a big pile. God knows what they'll do with it, all right? They're saying it's kept to make the park beautiful. I say this, if we need major improvement in our park, we do the same thing we did 30 years ago. We take a bond at low interest and we pay for whatever needs doing, about 20 bucks a month. They're gonna take $1,000 a year from every one of us and put it in a big pile. Now, they've been taking $6,750 every year for 30 years. We have over $200,000 in the bank, okay? And that $200,000 has not earned a dime in 30 years. What the hell's wrong with these people? We need a financial manager. I'm 80 years old, and I'm right up to here, and I don't wanna be on the damn board, okay? I wanna just have fun, okay? And make sure them women don't cry, all right? I don't wanna be accused of being a bullet. It was you, wasn't it? Well, anyway, I said it. I've been evicted. I've been asked to leave the park. My house is gonna be abandoned, apparently. I'm trying to get what I got in it, and I've not had one offer in 2 weeks, okay? Especially if they know I was evicted, all right? I mean, this is not right. To take the power to evict me for going to a meeting, and what I said was, You know, I got a problem too with what you wrote in that flyer. You said you could put any size house you want next to me, and the only problem is they'll have no lawn. What a bunch of crap. I mean, you need more room. You live in a box with wheels, like we all do. You need a little room outside, for Christ's sake. You need a picnic table. You need to be able to live in peace and quiet and enjoy yourself. You don't live so close together that you can spit and hit the next house. It's not right. It's against the law, and we should do something, okay? I think plenty of time. By the way, anybody wants to talk to me, you're welcome at my house. Just look for the for sale sign. I've got proof of all that they violated. And the one thing I didn't mention that I'd like to make it clear to you, you do own a piece of this park. You own 1/75th of Maple Ridge. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you don't own nothing, like he does often. He tells people they have no right to anything. All you have is your little house on wheels and blah. I hate that. Everybody in this room hates that, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, I went to 2 lawyers so far, and I've also contacted the Attorney General of the state of New York, okay? I'm not leaving easy, okay? I got a proposition for Maple Ridge, and I'm gonna clue you in a minute, okay? I'm either gonna get my true value. 2 lawyers have now told me the true value of a share of Maple Ridge is 75 divided into at least $2 million. Now, the original share was given to somebody. I don't think there's anybody here that got the original share, but in writing it says that person
probably got one.
that person that got that original share has entitlement to everything that happens to it. When the shares were written, they weren't worth $650. We had $1.2 million on all that they've done for the park, and we got $650 after 30 years. Now, what it says in the laws, if you sell your share to the park, or if you sell your share to another person, or if you get your share revoked, that's me, okay? You all have the same right. The original share was set up that because of the bankruptcy possibilities of the park at that time when it was worth nothing, and we borrowed $1.2 million from the people, they insisted that we do certain things with our money. They wanted to protect the people. So, what happened was, they put a codicil in the original law that says every person that gets a share is liable for a 2% increase for 30 years. That's still chump change, okay? Got a daughter that was gonna be an actuary, and I'm trying to get her to work that out, because I don't know how to do it, but she does. And there was one other clause. It says this, that when and if you either sell it to the co-op, which happens, or if the co-op takes it in the event of a death, or if you get it revoked, like me. It says that you can apply for full value. That means get the park to get appraised, divide it by 75, give me the money. Now it says this, the reason that the park doesn't like that is because they could be bankrupted. Right about now, I don't give a damn. Bankrupted what? Where's the money coming from? Who's got the money? How are we gonna keep paying that $1,000 a year? There's so much wrong with the structure right now in terms of what your share is worth. Now, I'm not saying that we should all go say, sell a damn park and give me a 75th of what you get. I know of a park recently with 300 houses. It was a hunt park on the Canandaigua exit of the thruway. They sold it for $22 million. Our park is valuable, okay? And it is our park, for God's sakes. You can't treat people like that. You just can't, okay? And I'm telling you this now because I'm clean with it. I don't give a damn if I move. I don't want to live here like that. I mean, I'm too old to put up with that kind of crap. I just had open heart surgery, okay? I don't want to be involved with people that are such assholes, okay? No, I'm serious. These people, you know what's wrong with me?
Sit down. You have a turn.
I'm not,
Don for treasurer.
what I want to do.
He's the money.
How about we give other people a turn and then you get up and talk
Well,
again?
I'm getting hoarse.
I know. Well, I
Okay.
guess I have something to say.
You said everything else.
I'm here because
Say it
of
again.
Don, because
No, you gotta say
I
it.
thought that they were just picking on me. I'm the one that had the community garden in 2017, I didn't want to have it anymore. And Lori told me I had to clean it up, so I cleaned it up. I was mowing it for 3 years to keep it looking nice. Spraying weeds, mulching with grass clippings to keep the weeds down. Then I continued mowing it. I watered in 2020. And Tammy wrote me a letter and said, you can't water, you can't plant things, and I said, okay, fine. But I was still mowing it, trying to keep it looking nice back there. And then, Steve was on the board, so he was coming over and hanging out on my patio and telling me stuff the board was talking about, that they were having a new law, new rule, where the board members can come to your house and tell you if you did something wrong. Well, that was never in a newsletter, okay? So we didn't get to decide. They never told us that was one of their rules. But I love this place. I have been here for 7 years. I just want to play in my yard with my flowers and my gardens and my pets and my neighbors and my friends. I just want to be happy here. But they attacked me. Steve was coming to my house and inviting me for ice cream, and I didn't want to go for ice cream anymore, so he got mad at me. And at an inspection, he told me, when he was trying to get in my good graces, that I could maintain the garden. Half of the board was there for the inspection, they heard it. So then I continued to maintain the garden. After I didn't want to go for ice cream anymore, Ray and Gary came over when I was spraying vinegar to kill weeds. And they came over and they were yelling at me, what are you doing spraying vinegar, what, spraying by that kid? Because Jessica and her little baby was there. And then Ray said, you're not even supposed to be. They were verbally assaulting me. They were screaming at me. So I said, hey, Steve gave me permission. I'm not spraying Roundup, it's just vinegar. And I kind of calmed them down. And they said, we want to put homes up there in the garden. And I said, why don't you take care of the place next to me? It's empty, my neighbor died. And he said, do you have a phone number for them? And I said, yeah. So I gave him a phone number, and then they went on, and Ray said, don't put grass clippings there anymore, okay? So then they left me alone, and I went, whoa, I'm not used to that. That's not my friendly neighborhood.
No.
So I looked at my phone, and there was 2 contacts, and the father didn't want to be contacted. And I was afraid. I gave him the father's number, so I tried calling Gary. Didn't answer his phone. So I went to Gary's house and knocked on his door. Nobody answered, so I went back to my car, and his wife comes out, and she goes, what do you want? And I said, is Gary home? And she said, he's on the phone. I said, well, would you have him call me? She said, I don't know who you are. I said, I'm Kathy. She said, what? I'm Kathy, your neighbor. She goes, well, I don't know everybody. She goes, oh, cranky. So I just went, okay, this is fun. So then I went back to what I was doing, and later Gary called me. I was over at a friend's house, and I said, I'm sorry. I said, Gary, did you get a hold of them? And he said, yes. So then I knew that the number that I gave him worked. And I said, I'm sorry I upset your wife. And he said, well, she doesn't like answering the door. And I said, our board officers always so rude and uninformed to their neighbors. And he goes, I said, you guys were screaming at me. And he goes, oh, we were just kidding. It wasn't funny. It was scary. I'm a wimp, okay? I just want to play in flowers. I don't want to be beat up by men. I just don't want that. So, Gary told me, I asked him, then he said, oh, he was just joking. And then he changed the conversation, and for some reason, like I said, I was at a friend's, and he's going on and on about Bill Didas. And he's like, Bill Didas, oh, well, you know, he would change it. And he embezzled money from the park. It's like, his son was charging $8,000, and I'm going like this to my friend because he wouldn't get off the phone. I'm going, okay, well, I'm gonna go, okay? And I got off the phone, let him go. I'm like, I didn't want to hear that. That was incorrect information and not what he should have been ranting to me. So then I went back to a couple days later, I'm taking care of the garden, and Steve, the same person that gave me permission in front of half of the board, and Ray came charging around and said, "You were told to stay out of here." I said, "I have permission," okay? And then he just like said a few things, and I just walked away. I guess my point is, these men, the board officers, Ray, Gary, and Steve, they abused their board power and harassed me. So I got written up for two things. One, for taking care of the garden, and I had permission, and I got written up for going to Gary's house, and he had asked for the phone number. If somebody asks for a phone number and you go to their house to give it to them, I don't see how that's not express permission. I was written up, and it was very abusive and wrong, like a written complaint went to Maple Ridge member, acting irrational. You were screaming and yelling at his wife. I was very disrespectful. This board member also reported you were constantly contacting them via phone. I called him once. I went to his house once. It was to give him the phone number. And this is from Tammy. As residents, you are not permitted to contact board members at your convenience, at their home or telephone. All business must be conducted at the monthly board meetings. Our office has instructed any board member to call the police, press criminal charges, and harassment, and it goes on, that these board members are volunteers and homeowners, and this is a final notice, please stay away from the board members' homes. Shut up.
Well, you told me you were.
Yeah, I got something I want to say.
The rule reads that you're supposed to give me the 1 minute warning.
That is the 1 minute
Okay.
warning.
No member, or the rule reads, section 7, conduct of household members. No member or household members are permitted to enter the lot of any other member at any time without the express permission of the member whose lot is being entered. It is not just board members, every single one of us do not want them in our yard. So then I went to this meeting, I wrote a letter because I was going out of town. Andy told me he would take it to the board. Made 9 copies. They read my letter. I have it if you want to read it. It's he said, she said, but it's play by play what they did to me. So then I went to a board meeting, and Tammy was Judge Judy in this kangaroo court. I was the only person there that wasn't a board member. Andy stood up for me and tried to get Ray to shut up and listen. They were attacking, Gary lied through his teeth about the conversation. He said I was crying the whole time on the phone. Nothing was true. I felt totally abused and unfair, and if nothing else comes out of this, I don't ever want anybody to feel like I did in front of that board. So nobody in this park will ever have to go to the board alone like I did and defend themselves with no help. It's like we will group together and make a change. Okay, John.
My name's Rick Francisco. I live at 22 Ellis Lane. I've been a member of this park for over 25 years. When I first came in here, it was tough because it just started. It was a learning curve. But you had a lot of issues, but everybody still got along. And I moved into that park because of what it was. It was spacious. The trailers had the room in between them. It was a nice place. I raised 3 boys over there. Through 25 years, I've never seen, nobody's ever stood up at this place. They've never been here in 25 years. The people have never gone against the board like this before. We all here for the same reason. We know what it is. Well, we screwed up once before, and we didn't go in and vote. Who is to blame for the presidency right now?
We didn't have an option last year. Nobody ran again.
Well, we really didn't. We have a chance now.
Yes, we
We
do.
got Don. He's a great guy. He's
I
he's
can't
a
vote.
good neighbor.
Can't
I
vote.
can't vote.
You got a ballot.
She mentioned something earlier about where the garden is and how they had wanted to put trailers in there.
You
Well-
can't put them there.
I heard they wanted to even put more than that in there. I don't wanna see any more trailers in that park. We're not a business. We're not in there to make money. We're there to live. Some of us are young. You want your grandkids to come over, or your kids to come over, hang out outside. You wanna be able to walk over to the creek. It used to be a common area. I'm not sure if it is anymore,
Still
but there
is.
used to be a park over there. And in that park, there was a jungle gym, swing sets, there was a grill. Beautiful place to take your grandkids. Go down, play in the creek, play with the crabs. You know, you get them out of the creek. All the kids love it. This park has never taken a turn on the downside like it has right now. When somebody's running and obviously there's a vote next week, what newsletter have they put out, or anybody for that matter, on what they wanna do in the park as far as the free places, the free spots? We don't need no more trailers. I don't wanna go in the back of this park where I see deer all the time and even though they say it's hearsay, guess what? I don't think it is. It's not a business. We're there to live there. Let your
There's only
grandkids,
free
your kids,
roads.
and everybody else come in.
Don't you want more traffic?
Do the right thing when it comes to voting, seriously. Get out, talk to your neighbor, talk to the guy or the lady next door. You know, have them go in and give a vote. It doesn't matter even it does matter who they vote for, but at least they went in there. And when catastrophe happens, if they didn't do anything about it, got nobody but yourselves to blame.
I have a question. How will we know what the people that are running stand for when they won't let people that are running solicit?
Rick is a great guy, I understand.
I know that,
He's
but they
thinking-
won't let people
Well,
solicit,
here's
so they
what
won't let
it
you
is.
say.
Rick walks around, he's not
He
just
helps
soliciting. Rick takes enough people show up, and if we go in there and we line up at that door, and you walk in, you take your vote, you turn around, you walk out, you let the next person walk in, sooner or later, they're gonna let us all in there, even throw you in there for the minute of the vote.
They said only 5 people at a time. That's why we have
Who
this.
says we can't have a line standing outside, one person going in and
Who
vote, the
says,
next
why can't
person?
we have it right here?
Right?
Absolutely, I agree with you.
I say that because listen to this, voting by absentee ballot, the board of directors has approved absentee ballot voting for members in good standing. Any issue to be decided by full membership as
And look where
detailed
that got the
by the
Republicans.
bylaws. The absentee ballot is to be mailed to the member a minimum of 10 days prior to either an annual meeting or special meeting and before the voting deadline. The deadline is the 12th. We got the ballots on the 4th. They screwed it up. They screwed up our absentee ballot. Tammy didn't do her job. She
What
didn't
if
do
they
her
say that
job.
there's only gonna be 5
like
people
what we
for a
have
meeting?
in here right now,
It's a
going
COVID
against the
rule.
board.
We need
Over
to stand up.
25
In the
years, I've
building
never
at a
seen
time.
it.
We
Well,
need
this
to.
is a good start. I mean, you can go ahead and ask me questions.
What are we
or just
doing,
say
what are we
we're
doing with
talking
20 people
about.
here then?
Well, I have a question for
Right,
you.
because this is a bigger
So,
area.
If they wanna
courthouse.
build, you know, put homes or whatever on
But,
certain
yeah.
spots.
That's a trailer. Nobody.
Excuse me.
We should,
No.
everything they do, when they ran that
Excuse me.
electrical wire through the ground, for instance, they should have told us that they were doing it and at least got our opinion on it. Because, I'm sorry, the breed is, there's 75 places in there, and we all do have a voice. And regardless, every president has done it in previously, but I must say, that park has never gone quite as smooth as when Mr. Ditas was in there.
Yeah, gave it up.
His mom's a great lady, I knew her, used to help her out a lot too, but no, I was very happy when Bill became the president. And it was kind of upsetting when you had to leave, and if I would've known this would've been the outcome, I would've volunteered to be your eyes.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think we need people, if Sandy can't talk, she can write somebody else. We need people to advocate for people that have wiggly voices and can't talk.
I get along
or
with-
That can't see.
I
or
get
that-
along with
you know?
everybody in the park. Obviously, you know which way I'm gonna go, because I'm a firm believer and it's gotta be changed.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the people on the board are bad people, I'm saying that they took advantage of a
That's right.
situation and it ain't right.
And it's been 5 years those people have been on the board,
It
not,
needs-
not Ray.
It needs
Excuse
to
me.
be about the park.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Every one of those people in there have to worry about the park and their members, not worrying about, well, I'm gonna push this guy a little bit so he gets all pissed off at
Right.
me. And I don't have to listen to that asshole over there because
Thank
what
you.
he's going on about. No, you
Right.
have to stop there.
Right.
And you have to say, okay, people, we're gonna be behind you. We're gonna be your people out there.
Yeah,
Tell us what you want. We're gonna tell you what's coming up.
Years-
But this is what we gotta vote on. This is what we gotta have for this community.
years ago, I used to stand over in that office and we would bitch at each other back and forth. And I mean, we'd go at it really good. But you know, when I walked out of that office, I never had to worry about a repercussion. And now you got people nervous in the park that if I say something, they're gonna turn on me.
They're gonna take your stock certificate?
They can't, there's no way. And I mean, one of the first things that should be done is it's yours. It's your stock certificate.
I think we should need a full,
They
full
can't take
membership.
it from you.
president right now.
I think we should have a full.
I think Rick,
I think we should see
opinion,
proof
if
of the
you're gonna ask me,
eviction.
I think Rick for
Does he
president.
have proof of the eviction?
Don's got brains like nobody's business.
This guy goes,
He's
Does
a
he have
money
proof
guy.
of it?
Rick's a people guy, Don's a money guy.
Rick needs guidance.
And the.
I understand, Joe, you're gonna be
Where's
running.
your letter?
You know what?
Eviction
We
letter.
got our differences, but let me tell you now, and what did I tell him earlier? Doesn't matter our differences, it comes down to running the park, you got my vote.
It's principles, not personality. And I have something to say. I called the
Because I used to write up
town
eviction
and asked them
notices.
a simple question.
I'm not smart,
The
so
thing
you
that-
gotta.
Don't down talk me.
Somebody else.
This is
No.
a sign
right
by
about
Tammy.
there.
I-
Tammy doesn't run this
I
park.
She's a
called the
manager.
town.
But thank
She's
you.
not,
She
well,
takes care of the
I
money.
called
She
the
did.
town
she's a
and I
manager,
asked a
property
simple
manager,
question.
but no.
Can you rent a garage in Clarkson?
She
She
takes
said
our money,
no.
pays our
So
bills.
why would they even run electric to a garage when it's against town code to do that? And then I talked to the code enforcer and he told me that he will not allow
Once
another.
again, we're not a business.
He said he will not allow one more trailer in that park until we have a full survey, cause he's gotten too many drawn maps and because of the problem that Ray caused. He won't allow any more until we get it surveyed and he knows where the lines are.
Once again, hey, thanks everybody, like I said, I didn't expect this many people to be here.
I
And
think
I've
this is
never,
good.
I've never gone up, I've been in board meetings because they were after me.
I want
But
Frank
I
to
never,
talk.
never once, back then, did I feel threatened or scared that they were gonna take my share or any of the above. And for them to do that, it's wrong.
You
I
probably
think-
never saw
I'm not-
anybody in the 20 years ever threatened like that either.
No, never, never.
Like that some 80-year-old man is gonna get his ass kicked. He was threatened by the president of our
Right there should
park.
have been outage.
That has happened to me in the past with the board.
What?
Why wasn't the president?
But the problem
Because the
is, if the
president-
board's gonna come into your yard, they represent the people in the park. If they are gonna come into your yard and they are to use threatening language towards you. I'm gonna tell you, I did this once, years ago. I called the cops. I was pissed. It was either me kicking their ass or me calling the cops and saving their life.
They cannot go
And
in
I
your
think
yard
if
without your
people that have been in
permission.
that park for a while know that I used to have a bad temper.
No.
But, no, they actually, the officers actually came down and it was called a citizen's arrest. I had an option to make a citizen's arrest or have her taken on board. And they said, let us talk to our lawyer. And I said, no, you don't, I'm not giving you that time. The police are here now. Either they go in that office and they resign,
You've been here a while.
or they're gonna be taken away in cuffs. They resign.
I've been here since.
But no, the people should
Since
not.
when?
69.
We own it, not them.
When my mother.
Stick together, voting, 5 people allowed in at a time,
Never
we'll
had
make
a
a line
problem
and
in
we'll
this
just go
park
through
until
there and we'll
the
get
present.
present votes.
It's just-
We'll get what we want.
Joan doesn't.
You don't have to call out their voting if we
Oh, it was
can
a
talk
drug
to our
dealing site.
neighbors and,
Yeah.
you know,
When I
like
was
I said,
younger,
people are
friends
afraid to
came
come in.
out to our.
Even if
But if you
Rick
talk to your
buy
neighbors
drugs.
and let them know, you know
Joan
what, your
doesn't
vote
believe
does
it.
count.
She said, oh, it had terrible.
Yeah.
And
When I was
it's
in
not
high
a
school.
clique, we're not a clique. We've never met like this before. There's a lot of faces in here that I haven't talked to.
Oh, I don't care,
But
I'm working.
if you go to the board, it's a clique, it's
It
the
is.
same
Well,
people. We have a big variety of
She's
people in
worked
here,
for an attorney.
we're not a
We
clique.
Not because she signed it,
We're a
because she's not
neighborhood, man.
the owner
Bring
of
it
the
back.
property.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rick.
Tammy, she's not the property owner, so it's not legal.
No.
The legal, right, she can't sign it, that's not legal.
It's your
Well,
turn.
because nobody else did it. She doesn't get the nerve.
Sorry I took so long.
You're
Yeah, so
Nobody else did it. Hey, bud.
Tammy signed it, she's not the owner of the property. Tammy signed it, she's not the owner of the property. So she doesn't have any legal rights. She did.
Let the man speak.
So he's not evicted.
Quiet, Frank wants to talk.
Okay, Frank.
Hello. My story is very short. I came out and I saw a truck with chainsaws and everything, and they were gonna cut my tree. And,
Where do you
what's his name
live?
Again, President
Ray.
Ray,
Where do you live?
Edward Lane, 12.
Excuse me, can we get permission to wear a mask so we can,
Yes.
you can put it on after you're done speaking, but then,
Okay,
Let the speaker.
It's hard to hear you, Frank.
I know, I can't hear him.
and, Ray was there, started talking with him. I said, Ray, what are you gonna do? We're gonna cut your tree. I said, why? It's a beautiful tree, there's nothing wrong with it. No, he says, no, he has a disease, he has, they cut the top off few years ago, and he starts to rot completely. So I've never seen that. So I go to the guy, I said, why do you cut the tree? Oh, he says, they have a disease like the ash trees, and it's a blue spruce. I said, are you crazy? Then I go back to Ray, I say, Ray, you cannot cut my tree, it's not right. I say, get off my property. Hey, come on. He says, no, you don't have a property. He says, it's from the park. I say, get off my lot. No. He says, it belongs to the park. No, it doesn't. Oh, it belongs, not my lot. So I said, okay, if that's the case, tomorrow you start mowing my grass. Now, that happened the day before. Oh, and it was verbally very aggressive of that.
Oh, he's awful.
The guy that was cutting the tree was waiting, and he says, hey, what do? We cut or we don't cut? And he goes, cut it. Cut it. So, reminds me of someone many years ago. But the day before, I sit outside with my dog, and he stops, he opens the window, he's drugs, and I'm going to the police, and he was all excited about it. And then when he left, I thought, something wrong with that man. I thought he had been drinking. I don't know, but there was something wrong. And so I didn't mow my grass for about 3 weeks. He never said anything. That's my story.
Thank you for sharing.
That's an important important story, it really is.
I heard about the problems maybe a week ago. When Don came to my house, and he also came with my paper.
Good
then I
neighbor,
started
by
to
the way.
realize that, oh.
You're
I'm
not
You're
alone.
not alone.
Yes.
No, you're not alone.
That's why we had this meeting. I thought I was alone last year when I faced them alone. At the meeting, 3 different ways, like they said at the meeting, male board members shouldn't come to single female's house. I said, I don't want any of you coming, and I read this, no member or household member are permitted to enter the lot of any other member anytime without the express permission of the member whose lot is being entered. You did not give the permission. 3 different ways I said,
Understand.
stay away from me, but then my daughter was speeding, and he came charging, was screaming at my daughter, you can't come this fast, and he was told 3 times to not come to my yard, but he just did whatever he wanted.
Oh, that happened to my daughter too, but
Right. And
He
he
did it.
screamed at her, and she said, do not yell at me, and turned around and walked away, and he was going, and you can't park there, and she goes, why are you still talking? And walked away from him,
well,
okay?
Mr. Didas screamed at my daughter 2 years ago. He
For
jumped out in front of her car.
Jumping out.
Really?
And
Yes, I did.
we almost called the cops on him because
Yeah,
that's
that's
The thing
harassment.
is, the.
Yes, I know who it was.
The board
No, it
can't
wasn't
do
me.
that,
And
nobody
if-
can
and
do
if you could,
that.
you ask one of the other
Thank
board
you,
members,
Frank.
an officer,
Thank you, Frank.
she watched me do it.
I know.
Because the guy that she was with was speeding. Every single time he went through there.
No,
Well, that's
Yeah.
one of
No,
the things.
they
I'd
have a
like to
standard, they
propose
can't speed when they
is
go through the
Instead of
state.
being written up, why don't we get a warning? Okay, so if somebody's speeding, my daughter was speeding, okay? But it's like, then they wrote me up for that. Why don't we get a warning?
But what warrants the warning?
and you jump in front of a vehicle, you're gonna get hit and it's your
What
own fault.
warrants the warning?
If somebody's breaking a rule, if you have dog crap in your yard, instead of having a board member come and rag at you, get a letter and say, hey, if you don't clean it up, I don't want anybody in my face from that board ever again.
Well, how do
Good move.
Speeding is wrong, though. Speeding is wrong, though.
I see cars fly through
Speeding
there.
is wrong.
It is wrong, my daughter was wrong.
But it's wrong for people to jump out in front of them.
Speed, I see every time.
That's harassment.
The mail lady's got one.
Speed, you know.
Well, the mail lady, yeah, she's.
Speeding is wrong.
Oh, like your buddies, right? They do that because of the election.
Kinda wish people.
Can I read one thing?
There's the Amazon, FedEx driver, they're all.
We don't buy
fucking
it.
I
idiots.
slow down for an Amazon.
I'd like to
driver behind
read
me.
one rule
Your Amazon
in
driver
our,
flipped you off.
in our.
I said, your Amazon driver flipped you off.
Thumbs up, I would do, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like to read this. It's called resignation and removal of directors. Removal. Any member may request the removal of a director by filing a charge in writing with the secretary, together with a petition signed by 15% of the membership requesting removal. The secretary will then immediately provide a copy of the charge and the petition to the director involved, along with the other officers of the board. This will be done before presentation of the matter to the rest of the board. The board of directors shall then call a special meeting of the membership to consider the matter. The director involved having been given a copy of the charges in advance of the meeting, and the complaining member shall have an opportunity at the special meeting to be heard, either in person or by counsel, and to present and cross-examine witnesses. The director may be removed upon the affirmative vote of 3/4 of the members voting thereon, providing at least 20% of the entire membership votes at the special meeting. I think we have enough cases here, this is for one person, to say, Ray abused me, okay? Or to say, that wasn't right. They say go to a board meeting, I went to a board meeting, they took away my stock certificate. We have more than one person that is willing to
And we
stand up.
can't take it to the secretary, because she's one of the ones we want to get rid of.
We still have
Well,
to
we
go.
got, like I said, once again, they're voting on Saturday. Talk to the biggest thing is, it's a great meeting, but when you walk out of this meeting, remember what you want. Talk to your neighbors and tell them they have to go and vote.
Even if
Keynote's
we
doing it
vote.
right now, and there's places they didn't go to in that park. So that kinda tells you something.
Even if we
Keynote's
vote.
never come in here in 25 years and done that.
Even if we vote, even
I
if
know
we
you.
vote and Rick wins And Rick Wynn, he's still stuck with Ray and Gary and Sue. I propose we sign a petition to eliminate the 3 abusive board officers, that we get rid of them. And then we have a new vote, okay? Yes.
Who's gonna
Is
vote,
this supposed
though?
to be
Who's gonna
being
in?
videoed right now? I'm not videoing.
Oh,
okay.
We're just recording so that we can do minutes if we decide to do this removal thing. And this is not neighbor against neighbor, this is one neighborhood joined together to solve a problem, okay?
Who's gonna oversee the elections?
Pardon me?
Who's gonna oversee the results of the elections?
I want somebody to count the votes, number one.
That's dangerous too.
Yeah, I don't trust them, actually, because they're the source of rumors. Okay, they actually told somebody that Ray, Sue, and Tammy were coming to the meeting tonight, just to mess with our heads. But I had already talked to my lawyer, and he said, call the cops, because this is a private meeting. This is so we can speak freely without being attacked by the board, or without worry about repercussions later, Ray coming and screaming at me in my yard or something. That is wrong, and I wanna live in peace, okay? I'll let Don take care of the money. I just wanna live in peace here.
You're not alone anymore, look.
What? I'm not alone.
You're not alone
That's
anymore.
right.
No, you're
Look
not.
at
And
that.
if we don't get this, if we don't get any progress made, I wanna form a resolution committee, so if somebody has wants to go to a board meeting and address something, that there's more people with them to come.
Somebody goes.
What they did to me was wrong, and Andy knows it. Andy's the only one that stood up for me, cause Ray tried to say that I couldn't go to Andy's house to give him the letter, and Andy told me to write it, and I had express permission from Andy. I actually took express permission from Gary asking for the phone number. Anybody.
Well, right now, we're bigger than the board is.
And what they're doing to Don is
We're far
wrong.
bigger than the
What's
board
the-
right
The way
now.
they're treating this whole
If
park
we
is
vote,
wrong.
if we vote
And
that,
I think when it
it's
comes,
done.
I think when it comes Friday, they have made changes at the board, where it says presidency. I think everybody, well, Rick wants it, but Don, you got some brains, buddy, and seriously, you need to be on that board, and whether you are a shareholder or not, what are they gonna do when the majority of the park puts your name down in that
Right,
position?
that's right. But
What are
we
they
have to
gonna
do
do?
What we have to do, what I propose, okay, is that we do this removal of the 3 abusive board officers. Then we have 4 people left, cause our co-op has to have a board.
Well, if they say in the rules that you can't do it, guess what? Yeah, we can, because we are the rules.
No,
Those
there's
are
co-op
written
rules,
rules
they
and
have
I don't
books
think
of
we got
rules.
enough
We
people.
have to do it
The amount
by
of
the
people,
rules.
we don't have enough people in here maybe to pull Don in, but if we were to talk to our neighbors and there was enough of them, Don would be in there in a
It's a
heartbeat.
step-by-step
But you,
process.
you also need to know
What I
what that
propose-
person wants to
Yeah,
put
but
out
we
when
have
they're in
Richard,
that
he wants to
position.
go also for president.
Yeah,
Yes.
Richard, I hope, gets president, because
That's what we
then
want to
Sue
be
said
president.
she would leave, but then he'll be stuck with Gary and Ray abusing him. So what I propose is that we sign a petition to remove the 3 abusive board officers. We fill in the 4 board members left for our interim board, and then we have a new election.
We need more than what's in this room right now.
Well, we have to keep an eye on.
You got, you one household, one vote.
You ain't getting no
That's right.
50%.
One household, one
here.
vote,
You
but
know,
when we have
How
this
many
meeting-
members do we have in here? One person from each
I'm over
place.
there.
Not, you, all 3 of us are together?
No.
Okay, so, oh, all right, so you're the one vote.
One.
Another one.
How many we got?
Actually, we got more single votes in here than I thought.
So what
I
I
know there's
have
more in
here
the
is a
park, but they're
petition.
afraid of repercussions, and that's why they didn't come.
All we need is 15%, which is 11 people, in order to, 11 people we have. And then, and it says, this petition is, this is a petition to remove Ray, Gary, and Sue from the board. That's what the petition is for. And if we all sign this, we can have a meeting. And then other people will come to the meeting, but whoever comes to the meeting, that was what I read here. It says that, haven't given either person, or it says, the director may be removed upon the affirmative vote of 3/4 of the members voting therein, providing there's at least 20% of the membership at the meeting. So there only has to be 20% of the park at the meeting for a vote. Everybody doesn't have to show up, and then you need 3/4 of the people that show up. Okay, who's gonna fight for them besides them?
Well, that's why you gotta talk to your neighbors, because Keynote went out last night and talked to key positions, obviously.
I
I saw.
Well, you got
I
my
have this-
vote. I
Go
mean-
ahead, you have a question?
Has anything like this ever happened before in the park?
Not
Never,
that I
I've
know
been
of,
here,
but
I've
we
been here
haven't
over
been
25
abused
years.
like
It's
we
never
have
happened.
by
This
Ray
has
as
never
president.
happened.
Ray has to vote for us.
Ray says, I'm a Marine
This is the
and I
biggest
don't
offense.
back down.
Yeah.
Well, why would you back down if you're picking on seniors and women and handicapped people?
Right,
Okay?
right.
You're a big bully and you need to go.
Called senior abuse.
That's right.
Because I
And he
was
picks on,
wondering,
he was awful to me.
like, what
Keno.
happened? How did they?
You know,
They are a
Tammy,
cancer in our group.
Tammy has to go,
You can
but
be a
first,
ambassador.
we need to get good people on board.
You
Once
have
we
to know
get,
what their
They are
position
they are
is.
right now. They're not-
right,
they're-
Tammy,
I think the
okay,
only
say
thing
we
they
do,
do
say
is
this
they
is
lose
step
your
one.
voice.
She shouldn't
They
be out
lose the voice
campaigning.
of the board.
Tammy has nothing to do with our board or our members. She is neither. She's our
I know a
secretary.
few of them.
She
I'm
needs
kind
to
of
shut up
upset
and
that
stay
they
in her
don't
lane.
fight, and I will.
She might have got
And
COVID
talk
last
to
night, she went to John's
I
house
know.
and was infected,
You know
okay?
what?
So my proposition is we start here. Step one, a petition. Step two, we go to a meeting and we have minutes because we're recording and we all write up, from our minutes, what our complaint is. And we all address it against Ray. Ray will lose and then we'll have a vote. Even if we have a vote, they know we're not taking it anymore. Okay, so then we get rid of those 3 members of the board. We have our fill-in board, because our co-op has to have a board. We have the fill-in board, then we have a new election, since Joe was right. Our election is not fair. We didn't get our absentee ballots 10 days, there's a rule right here. You have to have, and this is because we had absentee ballots, we allowed absentee voting in 2017, when we got rid of the driveway thing, we voted on that. You have to have the ballots to 10 days at least before the election. Tammy didn't do her job.
Just got them.
So that election is canceled. So
Boy.
guess what? Step 4, a new election. Okay? Other people get to be on the board because
It is
we've
10
gotten rid of
days.
cancer. Once we get new people on the board, how about step 5? We get rid of Tammy and we claim back our homes. Anybody with me?
Yes. They have names.
It's not Tammy, Keynote.
But we don't need
Keynote,
Keynote
get rid of
anymore.
I've always told them, Keynote does not own me. Don't even mention Keynote in front of me. I wouldn't go into the office for years. I
Tammy
told them,
is as
"You pick one
abusive
board
as
member
Ray
and you
is.
Come sit in my house."
Tammy is exaggerated and abusive, just like Ray.
Yes, she is.
And lie right to your face.
That's right,
Yes, she
and
does.
I have write-ups that she made it all about, oh, you can't go to a board member's house. I said, where do you find that rule? You don't. You can't go to a member's house.
Next time you see Tammy, you ask her, you told us, the people at the board meeting the other night when I was there, you are renters. That's all you are.
We owners now.
Ask her about
We
it.
were owners
Where do you
before,
get this
but now
renters
there's no
nonsense?
dispute, they can't dispute it.
Yeah, we are all members. This,
I don't like
we
Tammy
own
anyway.
this park.
We all
And
pay our
they are
money.
abusing us
You are,
and our
I don't
money
like Tammy
and
either.
our
I never
park.
liked her.
And it's not right. And I thought I was alone. Last year I went through this and I just crawled in my little garden, leave me alone, just stayed under the radar.